Since this is a short, interview series, I want to kind of just put an opener, out there to get the conversation going. So, at CrowdLinker, for example, for the last few months, the team's been using ChatGPT Plus and like the API in order to experiment, leverage it. We primarily use it around things to help us with product requirements documents, doing summaries of meeting notes, action items from our client meetings. There's like many use cases that we're trying to explore with. What's been your first reaction to ChatGPT surfacing into like the product realm?
Yeah, I think, well, definitely it depends what you're considering a product per se, like a web page, like a portal, or even you as a product, right? Because, right now with the influencer marketing stuff, there's a lot going on. So just my first impression as a product being an influencer, that, well, it's not me. But and the also the other impression, like in the product-based company, let's say. I knew about ChatGPT actually in November last year when a friend was actually creating some content for some kids regulatory classes, and it was like he was uploading a lot of content through, well, every day basically. And I was asking like, hey, how do you do this so fast? And he was like, I used ChatGPT 3 back then.
Mm-hmm.
So my first impression was like, so now I understand why you're doing this so fast, because he explained me how that worked. He explained me how you can prompt it and et cetera, et cetera. So it was a good thing. It was mind blowing back then. I started doing some research. And since I was already involved in this current um, role at this company, I started reading more and more about this. And well, my first impression was like, well, you can do it pretty nice things with a lot of value, with a very easy set of words, and yeah, not time consuming, just prompt it correctly. You need to communicate to the machine, and then you will get to know what are like the limits of this thing. So we started doing this, um, in my case, with those demos with the users. My role, since we're building like verticalization in good for and tech for good, we're basically building a fundraising platform for donations. It was like, okay, two ways to do this. The first one is to help the nonprofits on how to write their grant application, and the other one was how these users can make the best ask for individual donors. So it was like, okay, ChatGPT, please give me something that sounds like that we're having a nice conversation, not direct ask, like persuading the people that your ask is the best ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was playing with that, and it was a lot of fun, and yeah, still mind blowing and fun, right?
Okay. So you talked about initially you heard about it by somebody using it for copy generation purposes.
Yeah,
Now it looks like you're using it to help some of the people who are looking to fundraise in terms of how they should maybe present it.
yeah.
How important is in your eyes the skill set of prompt engineering?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know where I read this, if it was in Twitter or LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, it said, but and I don't remember who wrote it, but basically it was something, an idea that it's taken into my head, and that's like I'm forming my criteria out of that idea. He basically mentioned that not engineers, but the new, let's say, communicologists, psychologists could become the best engineers in the couple of, well, midterm, short term, because they are the ones that better know how to write or communicate with things, right? In general, not only with dogs or with kids, with people, but I guess in general. So prompting this in the best way will drive the best results. So I think learning and again soft skills about this, it's just soft skills and experiment. It may drive the best results in whatever.
Okay. And so since you started working, with ChatGPT more, what has been your kind of go-to for like the learning how to best use it? Because some people, as you said, find out about it and then they start exploring it. But a lot of people I know, they just kind of given up on it because they don't get the specific results that they want, and it becomes frustrating because like you're not getting what you're looking for. So like, how have you and or your team have gone about circumventing kind of that initial kind of starting point, or that like hump that you need to overcome?
Yeah. First of all, I think as always, they are early adopters. And in this case, it was my friend that introduced me this as the copy he was actually doing in his influencing stuff. I don't consider myself like that early, this type of technologies, because, I'm not that technical in that, well, talking about that way, but I'm always listening, right? So the first thing is being open to listen about these new things. Because, sometimes you come here and you start hearing about what ChatGPT is, well, in last year, and it's like, are we really already in this era? So first of all, you need to put together your ideas and your way of thinking about, okay, 2023 is this era now of artificial intelligence. And then whenever you feel like, okay, I'm conscious that this is real. I think it's when, in my case and in the case of my team and many people that I know, they have start following, or everyone in LinkedIn is talking about that, in Twitter. So you just start watching videos or use cases in general. There are a lot of use cases that they have been presented to me in different ways by friends, by people that I don't know, by CEOs of some startups that I know here in Mexico, in another part of the world. So basically, learning, I would say watching, it's fun, and you will learn a lot of stuff. The the show of when they presented ChatGPT-4, it was mind blowing. Basically, the way they read the images, the pictures, write code, it was wow, it was crazy. But they want to sell, right? So they want to hold the best use cases to show the people to see, hey, this is the bar. So you can go up to here. So whenever you start watching all of those use cases, you start finding that Medici Effect. I don't know if you know about Medici Effect, but it's kind of, okay, I am a product person in fintech, in tech for good, but there is a person that is in the health tech for nutrition and things like that. Whenever I start seeing his use cases and he see mine, wherever these two use case border is, it's where actually the best idea comes, right? To use kind of his way and my way. So I think that's kind of the best way I found, and it works at least for the people and like me that want to figure out more and more things about this, even though you are just playing for now.
That's very interesting. And you mentioned ChatGPT-4, which was like a big, bump. But aside from that, where do you see like ChatGPT plugins came out? Not that long ago, and for a lot of
Yeah.
people, that was like a game changing moment because it could connect into real world other environments to get more relevant and updated information, right,
Yeah,
towards helping you with whatever your query or your ask is.
exactly.
Have you leveraged that? Have you maybe incorporated that new offering into what you're doing now?
Not yet. Like in terms of yeah, my real role as a product person in Resilia, but I started experimenting with some friends about doing this in Twitter, for example. I think using the Google Chrome extension, it's a better way to write copy wherever you are, tweets, whatever. I think, well, we're exploring that way because I have some other personal projects that are
Mm-hmm.
involving tweeting content about real estate and things like that. So that's kind of the first thing we started like looking to. But I know right now there are a lot of extensions that I'm not really conscious aware on how many are right now out there. But using commands, also a friend. Well, actually, he's not a friend. He's my brother-in-law. He used Synthesia. I think it's the
Synthesia.
name of an AI avatar company, and he was actually wanting this as okay. If you're not like um, trusting in yourself and being on camera, then use an avatar and tell the message with your avatar. So we're kind of switching that way. I feel confident in camera actually, but maybe other people that, yeah, they don't feel like me. So we can use an avatar and we can customize that avatar and we just add that specific, copy or yeah, ChatGPT result. So basically, if it's in extensions, if it's using different AI platforms to connect, I think connecting is the second step, right? Integrating those extensions or anything that you could imagine is the way you should start exploring, and maybe you start exploring it with the most simple thing as the Google Chrome extension. But whenever you start getting more into understanding the value and the ways everything you can connect API, everything it's possible. So yeah, you can become crazy with a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. I think the API access, I think, is still there's a lot of people still on the waiting list. So
Yeah.
it's really exciting to see what companies can do once they get full access to that. In your perspective, what's like the most worthwhile investment a product leader or product manager like yourself uh, can spend either their time into now, with this whole AI era?
Yeah, and first of all, definitely we should have this chat again whenever we have the API access, right?
Yeah.
So that let's see what we're doing with this. Um, but as an investment in being in the product world for these type of topics, right? You say?
Yeah.
Um, I think, and always there is this controversial discussion about what will what will happen with specific roles. And first of all, I don't see this as okay killing a lot of roles in companies because they are always reinventing. But I think that's kind of the last question of our chat today. But talking about that, I think the best investment in this is just have fun. Have fun in at least following a couple of people that are talking about ChatGPT or AI in your Instagram or TikTok. And if you watch 1, 2 videos a day, then your algorithm will at least always your 15, 30 minutes. Hopefully, hope you're not addicted to these things. You will start seeing new videos of new people and normal people, not only product people, but like my approach here will be invest some time finding good content or hashtags related to ChatGPT or AI as a product person. Your algorithm, your Twitter, your TikTok or Instagram algorithm will learn a little bit about that. So every time you go there, at least you will see one video that talks about that. And now you will start creating your own pace here with content and things like that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
will say that.
No, it's so true what you said. Like I've embarrassingly only recently gotten on the whole TikTok bandwagon, and you know, it's the most amazing algorithm that they've developed because
Yeah,
all my content now is all about AI, ChatGPT, how to use it, case studies, use cases. So like I actually get all my latest greatest kind of insight from TikTok.
yeah,
And I share everything to my team on Slack like every day. And I'm pretty sure my team thinks that I'm like living in this stuff 24/7, but I just get really good curated content that comes up to me. My,
yeah,
my my last question I have is like, since I've been tracking all this content, on TikTok and other places, like it's mind blowing to me the scale and the acceleration of like these new AI solutions out there in the market. Um, like every week there's like 100 new companies, and in my
yeah,
opinion, a lot of them are starting to take over a lot of like roles. Like I know you mentioned that you don't see roles being replaced, but I start to think about, is it a doomsday scenario? Is it like paradise? Like, because I feel like I'm reading some articles now that programmers who are studying school right now, sorry, who are in school right now studying
yeah,
software engineering,
yeah,
are starting to get really concerned about the speed and the velocity of how things are moving,
yeah,
in AI, and especially around coding, right?
yeah.
Like at the company right now, we use GitHub Copilot,
Mm.
and so we're always trying, like, okay, how could we be more efficient? But in your eyes, do you foresee this being like a doomsday scenario someday, soon, or like,
I would say that no, not for now. Um, and since will we will like well AI will continue to evolve like faster than us learning about it. I think it will be always a gap of knowledge that we don't know the possibilities of what these things could do. So not a doomsday because we will be in continuous learning while these things learn millions of times faster. So the gap will continue being bigger. So new things we will need to start to do to implement all of this. But I think the thing here is there are always roles or businesses that they are frightened by this. For example, the health industry, doctors, right? That AI is actually detecting diseases. I don't
Mhm.
know how much more with how much more efficiency. But in the health in the health industry, it is also the nurses are part of the health industry. So I I would end this with an analogy. Find that nurse wise um, roles in every industry because the doctor can be replaced by robots to make surgery, etc. But the nurse is always putting the needle in your veins or yeah, for that, or for blood tests or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So nurses, we always need to come like the patient with that human, etc., and be there with you, whatever you need. So find that nurse-wise role in whatever industry you are. That's kind of my analogy. I'm still
Yeah.
thinking on how we can find that. Maybe I'd ask ChatGPT. I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of my way to understand that this won't be like a doomsday. Right
Okay.
now, it's a paradise for me.
Okay.
Uh, so so I don't consider that doomsday. There is always a
Okay.
nurse everywhere,
I
right?
really I really like this analogy. It's an interesting one. Like find that role that's kind of irreplaceable,
Yeah.
in whatever industry that you are in. Okay. Cool. I think that's great. I think that's a good way to finish off this episode. Thank you so much for coming on, and I appreciate your time.